everyone. Thank you so much for being with us on this second day of fall. I'm Savannah Welch, and this is Weather Out West. It's our hour-long show where we showcase what's expected weather-wise across the western U.S. You'll find forecasts from our team of meteorologists in Colorado, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, California, and Arizona. We begin in Denver, Colorado, where the city is getting a preview of winter. Mountain snow is in the forecast, along with cooler air and some showers as well. Let's check in with our team there.
A rainy and dreary, very unusual to have a kind of a prolonged rainy and dreary day for us here in Denver, but that's what we're looking at on this Tuesday. I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team meteorologist Chris Bianchi at KUSA here in Denver. In the mountains, we're getting snow down to about 9,000 feet. So if you're familiar with Colorado, that is at or above pass level, where we will be seeing some of that snowfall through the day today and into tonight as well. That accumulating mountain snow for us again at or above 9,000 feet. And this will bring down some of those famed aspen leaves. Those aspen leaves going to get weighed down by this heavy, wet snowfall. Winter weather advisory in place for the high country for the first time this winter season. So we got those rain showers around for us through the day today, and by this afternoon, those showers and kind of occasional rumbles of thunder for us lasting into tonight for us across the northeastern plains. Most of this, though, will be just kind of a steady, heavier rainfall for us here across northeastern Colorado, Fort Collins, Greeley. The potential for 1 to 2 inches of rain. This is borderline a drought buster for us here across northeast Colorado. For a little bit of context, the I-25 corridor averages only about 15 inches of rain and snow equivalent in a given year. So we get an inch or two of rain. That's a lot of water for us here along the I-25 corridor and throughout northeastern Colorado. By tomorrow morning, though, that rain spins on out of the picture, just a few leftover showers, but then we're really calm for the next little while. So if you like the sunny weather, you'll get it for the rest of the week. And hopefully those fall leaves survive the snow. I'm a little dicey. Heavy wet snow. Again, 6 inches plus heavy wet snow. That's going to bring down a lot of those leaves, especially up by Rocky Mountain National Park. So weather impact alert for today. Then we dry out and warm up, and the rest of the week looking spectacular with the high near 80 for us in Denver. And a little different for us here in Denver. We topped at 80 on Sunday. Today, just 55.
This Tuesday, September 23rd, we have issued a weather impact alert, continued steady rainfall, and some pretty significant totals ahead. As of this morning, we have 3.6 inches of rain in Denver, at least out at the airport, where average since June 1st is over 5.73. So as we go through the rest of the day, this is helpful. It's inconvenient, it's soggy, it's wet, it's cool. But for drought conditions, moderate drought here for the Denver metro area south to Castle Rock. This storm is not impacting the western slope. So unfortunately, we're not going to really put a big dent on the extreme drought that we've seen into our central mountains and west. But taking a look at some of these totals, the northeastern corner of Colorado really seeing a good dose of water. 1 to even 2 inches Greeley out through Ray when the storm system eventually makes its way out of the state later on this evening, and around 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch additionally here for the Denver metro area. And as we take you through our Front Range Futurecast, it is going to be wet. It is going to stay cool. Highs stay only in the 50s. Continued steady rainfall, heavy at times over our I-25 corridor and eastern plains. Also, our first significant snow for Colorado's high country. It's going to be snow showers mainly above 10,000 feet. The roads in pretty good shape, but accumulations of around 3 to 8 inches with our first winter weather advisory posted of the season in the last 4 months. The storm system will not last long. As you can see, we'll clear out tonight through early Wednesday morning. A lot of sunshine returns, and taking us through our extended forecast, by far the coolest day, 55. Typically, Denver sees a high of 77 degrees this time in late September. We'll be in the low 70s with sunshine tomorrow, and then upper 70s to low 80s Thursday through the weekend. So we will take this precipitation while it lasts through the day this Tuesday.
From Colorado to Arizona, temperatures in Phoenix are climbing and are expected to stay above average for the next 3 days. But relief is on the way. Monsoonal moisture is set to move in, bringing fall-like conditions by Friday. For the full forecast, here's meteorologist Ginger Jeffries.
I'm meteorologist Ginger Jeffries. A look at your weather out west across Arizona where, yeah, fall is now underway, but temperatures, well, they haven't quite gotten the memo. Numbers are climbing. In fact, we're going to see temperatures well above the normal range for the next 3 days before another round of monsoon moisture makes an impact as early as Thursday, but I think it's really going to start feeling its presence here, at least in the metro, by about Friday. So temperatures on this Tuesday. Now keep in mind, for Phoenix, our normal range is 98 degrees. Instead, we are going to be one of the hottest places in the nation today with highs peaking at 102. Havasu's going to go for one better at 103. I've got a pair of 9s in Quartzsite, 101 in Yuma, 97 in Tucson, 76 today in Show Low, and about 73 in Flagstaff. Now, we are not seeing much monsoon impact at all today. As you can see, pretty clear skies. We've got a couple clouds bubbling up, but again, this is going to be minimal at best. And let's put this in perspective. 102 today, 92 was our high from yesterday. So a 10-degree jump from yesterday to today. And look, at normal for us this time of the year is under 100 degrees. So certainly we're elevated above that. But thankfully, even though we are going to be warming up, we should not be breaking any records because our records are sitting closer to 110 degrees. So monsoon headlines for today. We've got some 1s and 2s, still seeing a little bit of impact for the southeast quarter of the state. Otherwise, we've got 1s in higher elevation simply because we've got some very tiny isolated pocketed showers. But for the valley into western Arizona, just doesn't look like much moisture is on the horizon. So your weather story right here. Above normal heat, high temperatures, 102 degrees. So the way we manage that is to plan the day accordingly. And the good news is, unlike in July, when we hit 100 degrees by 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, we are holding off on those triple digits until about 2 o'clock. But still, it is much warmer than what we would like to see, especially as we have, you know, all the Christmas and Halloween decorations in Costco. But instead, try to limit your outdoor exposure between about 2 to 6 because that's when our numbers are going to be at the warmest. Then tonight, it's going to be mostly clear. We're dropping down to about 82 degrees. Winds, not that big of a deal, but we will see some wind in the higher elevations. Tomorrow, we continue to climb. Remember yesterday, we were at 92. Today, 102. Tomorrow, 105. Yes, the numbers will be continuing to climb across Arizona with, again, no threat for monsoon moisture. Instead, the big weather story is the above normal heat until we get into Thursday and Friday. By that point, you can see for the high country, we're starting to see 40% coverage. I really expect this to go up. For the White Mountains, we're going to see a couple of bumps of opportunity. Thursday and Sunday will be the prime time for some pop-up moisture. And then for Phoenix, here we go. We start ramping up on Thursday with our best bet for rainfall Thursday and then overnight into the early morning hours on Saturday. So I'll map it through for you and notice this starts on Thursday. So we're looking ahead, but we start to see some of these pop-up showers. And again, not all of this is rainfall. The lighter green just kind of shows the opportunity. It's that darker green that we're really watching for the measurable rainfall. And certainly that guy right there in the morning on Friday by about 9 o'clock, we should be seeing some strong storms primarily to the south of us, but it's going to continue to move around, especially in the higher elevations into Friday afternoon and Saturday. So temperature wise, yeah, they're going to start coming down. Hey, look at this. Flagstaff, we've got 70s through about Thursday, and then strong monsoon storms going to start developing by Friday. For the numbers, the peak of the warm up is on Thursday. Numbers will be coming back down, double digits settling in on Friday.
And after the break, a look at the Northwest forecast where warm weather isn't going anywhere just yet. Welcome back. In Seattle, wildfire smoke is making a return to western Washington. You can see some of it here with our Columbia Center and Queen Anne Tower cameras. The smoke is drifting over the Cascades and creating very hazy skies. Meteorologist Rich Marriott is tracking what this means for our air quality, plus a look at the rain in the forecast this weekend.
Hi, I'm King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott, and well, it looks like the first full day of fall is going to have a little bit of wildfire smoke moving in and around parts of western Washington. Looking out from our Granite Falls camera this morning, you can see that the smoke haze definitely working its way over the Cascades. A few hours ago, you were able to see the silhouette of Mount Pilchuck out there in the distance. We've lost it in the haze at this point as that kind of filters its way out. We have weak offshore winds, but it's enough to pull some of that wildfire smoke from all the fires that are going on in eastern Washington. We're seeing evidence there also in the Columbia Tower cam looking down towards Mount Rainier. You can see the smoke haze out there, and has that reddish color to it, so that you know that it's smoke, not just your normal morning haze. Out towards the coast, though, it's not out there. It's looking pretty nice, looking out towards the ocean with the sky looking a lot bluer out there at Westport. Checking our first alert 7-day forecast, you can see we're going to be warming up. The offshore winds also helping to warm things up a little bit. It's going to affect our air quality. We show that in just a second, but we're going to be seeing those temperatures warm up well into the 70s, some upper 70s to maybe near 80 degrees possible today, though the wildfire smoke tends to lower those daytime highs, but we still might make it to 80 someplace in the South Sound today. We will cool a little bit tomorrow, but we'll also blow the wildfire smoke back out of western Washington on Wednesday, so it's going to be a brief episode. As we head towards later in the week, a little bit of cooling, and finally as we head towards the end of the weekend, looks like that's when we might actually see a little round of rain move into the area later on Saturday. Looking out from our school net side there at Avante High School in Olympia, you see down in the South Sound not picking up that smoke at this point either. And if we take a look at things that are going on around Puget Sound, of course, a lot of focus on the Mariners. And if you happen to be headed out to T-Mobile Park for the game against the Rockies tonight, it's going to be a beautiful evening to be at the ballpark. We're going to be looking for sunshine and temperatures in the low 70s when you get out there. We'll probably have moderate air quality at that point, but probably just barely into the moderate range, being right by Puget Sound. And looking for the next 3 games as we get into the last games of the seasons. We're going to be looking for both tomorrow and on Thursday for the Rockies games. Temperatures will be in the mid 60s to near 70 degrees at the first pitch, and running a little bit warmer on Friday against the Dodgers, getting into the upper 60s at first pitch. So great to be out of the ballpark, both for the weather and also for the excitement of moving towards the playoffs for the Mariners. Checking the smoke model, you can see during the day today we see that smoke push in from eastern Washington, pretty much from about Seattle southward is what's going to be affected by that. And then as we head into Wednesday, we're going to see the onshore wind start to kick back in again, and by later in the day that's all pushed back out again. So like I said, it's going to be a pretty brief episode, but in the process today we're looking at that moderate air quality pretty much Seattle southward and then out over southwest parts of southwest Washington. East of the Cascades, you can see we've got unhealthy for sensitive groups and just unhealthy going on over there in spots. So it's really some dense smoke over there. We continue with that alert for air quality there for Chelan County until further notice. They're saying it's generally unhealthy air quality in most places in the county. Take a look at tomorrow. Well, we're going to be looking for a little bit of improvement out towards the coast. It'll take part of the day for that to blow out, so still moderate for the area from about Seattle down to close to Olympia on Wednesday. Checking the mountains, if you're headed that way, not looking too bad in the Olympics, as that offshore wind is kind of blowing it out and away, and the Bear Gulch fire not producing that much smoke that's affecting Hurricane Ridge anyway. Different story in the Cascades. You can see as you get up there near Snoqualmie Pass looking east, that smoke coming over, and really in evidence there at Stevens Pass. So if you're looking at doing some hiking today, probably better to work on the trails that are farther to the west and away from the Cascade Crest if you want to be able to hike without a whole lot of smoke. Checking that forecast, oh, it's not looking bad. We're going to be looking for hazy sunshine, temperatures getting into the low 70s today. Then as we head into tomorrow, we're probably going to be seeing just about the same conditions. You see those high temperatures today generally in the mid to upper 70s and just barely making it to the 80-degree mark in a few places, and then cool a few degrees as we head into tomorrow, and then we see things really cool off as we head on into Thursday, and temperatures dropping back into the mid to upper 60s. We'll warm a little bit on Friday, it looks like, and then as we head into the weekend, partly sunny, low 70s, and then that chance of rain moves in as we head towards Sunday evening. Some steady rain Sunday night, turns to off and on showers on Monday. High temperatures starting off next week in the upper 60s.
And now let's head to nearby Idaho, where temperatures are climbing due to a high pressure system moving in from the coast and a low pressure system moving out. That combination is bringing a southerly flow, not only warming things up, but also helping to clear out some of that smoke and haze. Here's Tyson White in Boise to break this down for us.
From KTVB out here in Boise today, and we are looking at this photo submitted to our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. Just a beautiful shot of the sun kind of setting there over I-84, looking west out of Nampa into the eastern Oregon area. Just a lot of, you can see the haze in there with the sun kind of in the background. Just a beautiful kind of picturesque shot. This was sent in by Jeremy Reed, that is, to our Idaho Weather Watchers Facebook page. Thank you, Jeremy, for sharing that. And if you share yours, you might see yours right here on Weather Out West or on Wake Up Idaho as well. Taking a look at some of our cameras across the region today, that is Redfish Lake. Visitor camera looking beautiful as ever out there. Crystal clear skies, and that water looking pretty nice out there too. Over to Boise, we're looking up at Deer Point. This is up at Bogus Basin, looking kind of hazy out there this morning, but still looking pretty sunny and warm out there for the most part. One of my favorite cameras, once again, Highway 55 at Smiths Ferry, looking a little foggy again this morning. Things are looking a little bit kind of questionable out there, but so far that'll burn off pretty quickly today as we see temperatures looking more like summer-like conditions across the area. May Marina looking beautiful as ever as the sun comes up over the boats there, right on the docks, and just a really nice conditions so far this morning. So great day to get out and explore the backwoods of Idaho as well. Here's what's on the way for us. We are going to see temperatures and feels more like summer than fall, that is, across southern Idaho. We will be seeing those brisk mornings though. We'll see temperatures in the mid 50s to low 40s, that is, across many Treasure Valley locations, as well as some 30s there in mountain locations. And for the time being, we won't be seeing any precipitation, that is, through much of our area, at least for the next 7 days as we kind of push forward here. Taking a look at our daily almanac, our average high is about 77. We'll be at 3 or 4 degrees above that here for today. We'll be 5 or 6 degrees above that tomorrow. Temperatures, overnight lows right about average there, and we won't be anywhere near that record high back in 87 of 94 degrees. Daytime highs on Monday, the first day of fall. Well, we're feeling quite fall-like. 77 out in Ontario, that was the warm spot. 70s, low 70s, that is, for much of the Treasure Valley. 60s, mid 60s for mountain locations, feeling quite cool out there, and the upper 60s there for the Magic Valley. Really feeling that fall. That lasted a short amount of time. That's thanks to this big picture here. There's that low pressure system that brought us those showers and that cool front through on Sunday, brought us the breezy conditions and cool temperatures yesterday. We're going to see those breezy conditions continue for today, but it's going to be quick-lived because we have that warmth that's pushing in off the coast, bringing in warmer temperatures, and that southerly flow. That southerly flow will help clear out some of the smoke that we've been seeing in the areas. Futurecast pushes that smoke out into eastern Oregon, pushing a little bit less of that in the air in that particular matter out there in Ontario, Cascade, McCall as well. Those winds will help clear that out through tonight and into tomorrow, and then as well as into Thursday as well. We'll see clearer skies, a little bit less haze in that skyline on the horizon out there. Your day planner for today here in the Treasure Valley, warming up to about 69 by the noon hour, mid 70s by the early afternoon, and then late afternoon, we'll see temperatures in the low 80s across the area, and then we'll cooling slightly into the evening. Really pleasant evening out there here in the Treasure Valley. Same thing for the Magic Valley. Temperatures by noon by about 67 degrees, and then mid 70s by late this afternoon, and then cooling ever slightly into this evening to the 65 degrees by 8 o'clock. Really nice evening shaping up out there. Also, Magic Valley Gooding looking at 76 degrees, part of the mostly sunny skies out there for many locations, and taking a look at the the Wood River Valley area, low 70s here for Stanley, Sun Valley, and Haley. Fairfield at 73 degrees, plenty of sunshine. Here's where the haze will come into play throughout the afternoon. McCall, Donnelly, Cascade looking a little hazy this morning. We'll see that burn off and push out of the area with those winds. Temperatures across the western edge of the Treasure Valley in the low 80s out there. Same thing for the Boise area. Your 7-day forecast showing that warmth that continues today and tomorrow. And then we level out by Friday with a nice weekend on tap out there with temperatures in the mid 80s and plenty of sunshine to go along for this first week of fall here across southern Idaho. Really feeling more like summer out there. So kind of false summer, false fall, depending on how you look at it.
And coming up after the break, our next stops in the Northwest are Spokane and Portland. Welcome back. Cool mornings and warm afternoons. That's the pattern in Spokane all week. High pressure and a northern jet stream are keeping it sunny, and this ridge could make this September one of the hottest on record. Here's meteorologist Thomas Patrick in eastern Washington.
I'm meteorologist Thomas Patrick in Spokane, Washington. We've been enjoying a beautiful start to the fall season. Cool mornings, but still mild afternoons, and you can thank all of that sunshine for it. This is a picture out at Silver Mountain in North Idaho, and I can't remember the last time the skies were this perfectly blue outside. A absolutely beautiful look up in the mountains, but it's really looking that clear most across the West Coast for that matter. So as we look at it from eastern Washington's perspective, forecast is going to stay just like this all week long. In fact, it's just about how much warmer the days are going to get, because the mornings will still be cool at night in the 50s and 40s, but it's the high temperatures that will keep on climbing and feel more like the summer season, a bit left over for the region. So the average high temperature today is 71 degrees, but we're going to ride about 6 degrees above that mark at 77. We've been hard pressed to get our low temperatures any colder than that, the averages, which is mid 40s. It would feel very cold to get a couple days in the mid 40s, but we just haven't been there at all this September. So at some point the bottom's going to drop, but it's not going to be this week. The forecasted low temperatures, even for tomorrow morning, are still just 40s and 50s, which is plenty mild for the season. And the frost advisory we had for this morning, expiring at 10 a.m., well, temperatures actually didn't even get down to 36 degrees in most spots. So it looks like we staved off a little bit of some early season frost. And really, with the temperatures climbing, both in terms of the highs and the lows, I think frost is very unlikely for this week, even though we absolutely could get it in northeastern Washington. High temperature today, 77 degrees in Spokane, 78 in Coeur d'Alene, and now climbing up to 80 in Pullman. Think about that. Just a day and a half prior, it was 39 degrees in the morning. So it only took about 36 hours to climb more than 40 degrees from a morning to the low morning to the high temperature. As for the weather out west here, it is just all clear across the west coast. High pressure dominating the northwest region with a ridge in the jet stream that is keeping skies plenty clear, plenty sunny, plenty calm, and of course warm all at the same time. So the temperature trend in Spokane stays above the average line every single day, and by quite a margin on a few of those. Looks like Wednesday and Thursday will be in the low to mid 80s. That's 12 degrees above average, and at no point is this going to drop below this average line, probably for the rest of this month, and what should likely be our record hottest September ever in Spokane. So this leftover summer heat just keeps going. It's all about these jet stream ridges. That's the second one. Here's the third one, and that's just over the course of the next 4 or 5 days here. So with these constant ridging patterns, that will keep, especially the Pacific Northwest, plenty warm, above average temperatures, highs in the 70s and 80s here locally, with no chance for any real fall weather to come into play. We actually see this all across the country. This is the outlook for the weekend specifically. That big red spot over the Dakotas kind of starts over the northwest before it eventually shifts eastward. But we are expecting high temperatures to stay well above average in the extended forecast. So how many different ways can we say it's going to be sunny outside? Because that's really just what Spokane is looking at for the rest of this week. Sunny, 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 Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's just a matter of how warm is it going to be in the afternoon. Highs will be in the mid 70s to the mid 80s the next 7 days.
And down in Portland, it's also just as sunny with blue skies on the second day of fall and summer-like conditions across the area. Wildfire smoke and haze, though, still remain a concern. Meteorologist Rod Hill joins us from the Rose City.
I'm sure everybody's telling you it's the first full day of fall. That's certainly the case here in Portland. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill, and we have ourselves a beautiful day. We've had some patchy fog, low, shallow stuff at the coast, which will clear out. Otherwise, our inland cameras have pretty much all been spectacularly clear. Now, after a cool start, we are warming back to summer-type warmth. In fact, some of our modeling is showing temperatures nearing 90 in the mid to south Willamette Valley today. That's like Corvallis down to Eugene. Our wind direction, one reason we're going to be warming, one reason why it's clear, is the wind direction is from the east. So we're watching air quality. These are the updated air quality reports, color-coded from DEQ. The yellow or moderate, the green or good. So this is the worst of the wildfire smoke, which isn't generally horrific, moderate down in much of eastern Washington, northeastern Oregon. And notice some moderate reports through the gorge and actually in the parts of the Portland metro area. The one camera that's looked mighty hazy this morning is this one from the Oregon Veterans Home camera out in the Dalles. So that's sunny blue, but you can plainly see a lot of wildfire haze out there with a light east wind direction. Again, air quality is moderate, but something we will be watching. Winds generally 5 to 15, maybe they bounce 10 to 20 coming out of the gorge into the Portland area a little bit later today. By the time you make it back to the west to Mount Hood, though, that's our Timberline live camera, and it's just spectacularly clear. Temperature up there early this morning has been 61 degrees, and there's that east wind direction. Again, when you get up in elevation, it's a good barometer of what the air mass is, because it's just free-flowing air, right? You're not being disrupted by valley cooling or any topography. So the fact that it's 61 early in the morning up at Timberline tells you that this batch of air, what we call the air mass, is quite warm and absolutely ready for us to, seemingly it's a guarantee that Portland and Salem will at least be up into the mid-80s. And we were mid to upper 70s yesterday, so a noticeable warm-up. Our records, by the way, this time of the year are generally still up into the 90s. The iris is a little dark, but that's our clear sky view of our state capitol down in Salem on this Tuesday morning. There's a brighter look at the Columbia River, gorgeous camera. This is I-5, the interstate bridge, from our Vancouver waterfront camera, the Springs at the waterfront. There you can see the control tower of PDX right there, and obviously all is clear this morning. And there's downtown Portland and the Willamette River. Again, just beautiful clear skies. So with the sun, it's really all about the forecast numbers, and here they are. Early fog, shallow pockets of it clearing. Temperatures, most of the beach areas will get up in the 70s. Again, when we have an east wind direction, that basically takes the wind away from the cool waters of the Pacific. So there's warm air that blows from the valley all the way off of the beaches. So this will be a warm day at the Oregon coast. In fact, Astoria, 78 degrees. I may be underplaying the wind. I had 5 to 10. I was outside earlier this morning doing a live shot, and I could really feel the east wind kind of hitting my backside, if you will. So again, it might be 10 to 20 in some locations where the east winds are not blocked by anything. This shows that 89 in Corvallis I mentioned, and 87 in Salem and McMinnville. Southwest Washington, just about as warm. Battleground 87, Longview 85, warm afternoon. Again, northeast winds maybe a little bit breezier than what I have on the graphic. We'll go 85 today at least in the 80s tomorrow. And then starting Thursday, we're back to more of a westerly marine flow. That opens the door for some early valley fog or low clouds, but these are all sunny afternoons, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it still looks like our next rain chance doesn't show up until this coming Monday into Tuesday. Models have been suggesting that that could be a 1/4 of an inch of rain over the 2 days. We will keep you updated.
Coming up next, a glimpse at what's happening weather-wise in California, where changes are on the horizon as we transition into the end of September. Plus, you know fall has arrived when the trees start changing colors. Later, we'll break down why it happens and when to see the colors at their peak. We'll now take you down to California, where much of the northern part of the state is dealing with moderate heat risks right now. However, a low pressure system moving up from the south is expected to bring some rain tomorrow and a little relief from the heat starting Thursday.
I'm meteorologist Monica Woods, tracking more changes in our forecast throughout northern and central California. Going over our regional headlines, we're still in a pretty moderate to major heat risk for the coast, the valley, and the foothills. In fact, for the valley, we're going to be near records. For the foothills, we're going to be well above average. Still dry and warm for the Sierra, but again, we're going to be tracking changes, especially midweek. Our Tuesday heat risk forecast, at least widespread moderate heat risk with some pockets, especially for the East Bay communities, the Delta, and parts of the northern San Joaquin Valley dipping into the major heat risk, all under this ridge of high pressure. So the fall heat certainly here. But again, we are going to be tracking some changes as this low starts to approach from the south up to the north, much like what we had last week. So for Tuesday, we've got that risk of thunderstorms mainly for the South Bay communities through the San Joaquin Valley, just more so off to the west side of the state. Heading into our significant fire potential for Wednesday, this is going to expand a little bit. So we're looking at dry and low humidity for our Wednesday forecast, with the best chance of rain kind of hugging still south of I-80 and through the San Joaquin Valley, parts of the central and southern Sierra. Anything north of that, we're going to have the potential for some thunderstorms, but not much wetting rain. Speaking of fire season, these are the latest numbers coming out from CAL FIRE, and you can see we're pretty close to where we were actually this time of year last year. So as far as the fires, we're at about 7,000 right now. Last year, year we were closing in on about 6,000. We've seen slightly more acreage burned, but at least for our 5-year average, we're well below what we normally see. In fact, about half of it. Fire season, at least the peak of it, not quite done. Keep in mind, in California, fire season is year-round. It's just that we usually see the peak coming up in the fall season because we've gone the longest period of time without wetting rain. Now, in terms of what we may see here in the forecast, most of that is going to be moving its way right along the coast here, around the presence of where that low is predominantly going to be favoring the opportunity of showers and thunderstorms. That'll be on the west side of the state as well as through parts of the Central Valley. Heading into our Thursday, things are kind of starting to wind down as that low starts to move off to the east. In the meantime, we still have the heat. Highs are going to be close to 80 for the high country. We're in the 90s and near 100 through much of the foothills. So again, dry conditions continuing. As we head south of that region, and through the Central Sierra, highs in the 80s, near 100 through the Central Valley, including Merced and Fresno. Central Coast also feeling above normal conditions. We're in the 70s and lower 80s. Inland areas were close to 100. That's going to include places like Mendota as well as Hanford at 97 degrees, even 80s as we start to head towards the Bay Area. San Francisco up to 83 degrees, Petaluma 96, 101 for Fairfield as well as Rio Vista in the Delta. Those are the communities, by the way, that are in that major heat risk zone. Unseasonably warm conditions. Highs in the 60s, meantime, along the northwest coast. That certainly looks refreshing, right? Crescent City and Eureka, whereas Fort Bragg were about 70. Head inland through the north end of the valley from Willows up through Red Bluff, Redding, and Shasta Lake. We're in the 100s. Even for Chico, 99 degrees. It's going to be warm for the students there for our Tuesday. And then for the capital region, again, pretty close to what we're seeing throughout the entire Central Valley, upper 90s to near 100. For some areas, this is going to be kind of flirting with some records there for our Tuesday outlook. But just like that, we start tracking that low. Temperatures start to cool, but we will bring in that slight chance of thunderstorms by the time we get into our Wednesday evening forecast. Highs will drop into the 80s at that point. That's right about average, at least for the capital region. And then for Thursday, slight chance of a morning shower. Overall, though, things are going to start clearing out and we'll stay right around the upper 80s to lower 90s right through the upcoming weekend, the first weekend of fall.
And further down the coast in San Diego, the marine layer is breaking up to reveal some sunshine today, but changes are on the way. A trough of low pressure will bring cooler temperatures and more clouds through the week. Here's meteorologist Evan Noorani with the details.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Evan Noorani in sunny San Diego. Already through the morning stretch, we've been watching as those clouds have broken apart very quickly, and we've noticed that that sun has been quick to appear. Earlier through the week, we expected that cloud cover to be a main threat, at least in terms of fog, out along the coast through the morning stretch, but it was quick to pull its way back, and sunrise at 6:38 made for a gorgeous time frame across the county, especially on a lot of our east-facing views. Just a few patchy mid-level clouds that we're picking up on, some high clouds that we can expect by the afternoon, but otherwise a fantastic day to spend your time out and about. We do have some changes on the way, though, as the weekend comes about. A trough of low pressure is going to be sliding in across Southern California, allowing for a temperature cool down and an increase in our cloud cover. So those two components are playing a role in how the forecast will shape up by the weekend. But for now, today and tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're on the warmer side of average across a lot of our valley floors. We've got a lot of sunshine in the forecast still. And those biggest changes will arrive from Friday through Sunday, but some could start up as early as Thursday. The reason why is because of this trough of low pressure becoming a closed low that slides in across Southern California. And the biggest change that we'll see in the forecast by the weekend is that trough of low pressure digging in and that ridge getting nudged to the south. That ridge over the last several days has kind of been dueling with this trough. And the two have been making for an up and down, right? We last week saw some tropical moisture make its way in. We've seen temperatures right around normal or at least staying kind of stagnant. And now as we transition into the upcoming weekend, we'll see this trough win out. It will lead to a big cool down across the valleys and also may even trigger a few showers, maybe thunderstorms over our local mountains. Let's take a look at what we have on hand for this afternoon, because we do still have some afternoon highs that are on the warmer side of average, especially for areas like Escondido, Ramona, El Cajon. 90 for example in Escondido today, 93 for Ramona, 88 in Alpine, and 85 in Julian. Out toward the coastline, we've got mostly 70s, a couple low 80s like in downtown San Diego. We call it an urban heat island for that reason. Always stays a few degrees warmer than many of our local beaches. For Del Mar example, 75 degrees. Oceanside warming up also to 80 this afternoon. Jumping into the 7-day forecast, the two biggest changes that you're going to notice are going to be cooler temperatures and cloudier skies by the end of the week. Coastline, we don't notice it quite as much. We go from the upper 70s to the lower 70s, but it's a bit more noticeable as we make our way inland. So at our beaches, we'll see mainly a cloudy day on Friday. That means if you're making outdoor plans along our beaches, factor in that the day will begin with mid-60s. We'll only make it to maybe 71 degrees. Might want a sweater with you, and UV index will be low around that time frame. Good opportunity to get outside and enjoy a walk or a run if you don't want to be as susceptible to those UV rays. When we look inland, it's a big drop in temperatures, about 15 degrees that we slide from 91 degrees this afternoon all the way down to 75 by Friday. That drop in temperatures is all thanks to that trough sliding in. Now, as we get into the weekend and the beginning of next week, it does seem like those temperatures will start to make a gradual climb up to the upper 70s, for example, still staying on the cooler side of average. Earlier on, I mentioned that we could trigger a few showers or thunderstorms. That threat is mainly going to exist over our local mountains, and it seems like the best day for it will be Saturday, but really that entire Thursday through about Sunday window could bring about that opportunity. The deserts are going to go from 100 and 101 all the way down to the 80s as we get into the weekend. Into early next week, those temperatures do make a slight recovery, but still today, tomorrow, the hottest days in the forecast county-wide before that cool down comes through the weekend and into the beginning of next week. So we've got more sunshine for the next couple days before those temperatures slide and those clouds roll in.
Still ahead after the break, a check on the national forecast coming up. Well, most of the country is running above average in temperatures right now, but in the central and southern plains, heavy rain coupled with strong storms could lead to potential flooding. Julie Martin has the latest on what to expect across the U.S.
Well, we do have some flooding possible in the central and southern plains. Also in the southern plains, some strong storms could develop later on today. And most of the U.S., well, we're remaining above average despite the fact that we are now officially into fall. All right, here are those forecast highs for your Tuesday. Comfortable weather really in the Midwest. We've got the mid-70s from Minneapolis to Des Moines. We'll see 80 in Indianapolis, 70s from Cleveland into Buffalo. Heading east into New England, a bit cooler there in Maine with a high of 72. We've got 82 in Hartford. Here across the deep south, not too bad either, really topping out right around that 90-degree mark. Look at Denver though. Wow, high of only 52 degrees there today. Very chilly air settling in here in blue. There you see it from the Pacific Northwest all the way out into the Rockies, and then the desert Southwest. Phoenix, you're still staying hot at 102. Wednesday looks like we will see a few more 80s start to pop up. Denver, you come up a few degrees. Otherwise, most of the temperatures, eastern half of the U.S. will be about the same. All right, those watches and warnings for today. We do have some flood concerns as we're going to see days of rain here across the southern plains. So in green, that's where our flood risks are today. Here's that severe weather threat in level 2 out of 5 there in the yellow. That does go for portions of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, as I mentioned, and we could see at least some very strong storm development here later on in the day. All right, here's a look at the future radar showing some clusters there of moisture storms moving their way across the plains. Wednesday pushing a little bit farther to the east, and then by the time we get into the latter part of the week, all of this moisture working its way along the eastern half of the U.S. and eventually off the east coast. So all of this is going to mean very unsettled conditions, particularly in those areas. Here's a look at your highs for your Tuesday. We're looking at the 70s in Seattle. Portland, you'll be in the 80s down to the 70s. Sunny skies there in Boise with mid-80s, a nice forecast for you. San Diego looking good. Phoenix still hot. Denver, you'll climb out of the 50s to 70 by tomorrow, so hang on. We'll see near 90-degree temperatures across most of Texas, and then in the south right around 90 as well for Atlanta, Little Rock, and Tampa. Comfortable weather, as I mentioned, here in the Midwest, but we will get some storms in the Ohio Valley and the Tennessee River Valley. Could really use the rain there, though, so that's not a bad thing. Taking a look here at the upper Midwest, really nice forecast for you with the 70s. Cool in New England, mid-70s there in Buffalo, and in the Mid-Atlantic looks pretty good with dry skies and 80s.
Now moving to the tropics. In the central Atlantic, we're keeping an eye on Hurricane Gabrielle. It's forecast to approach the Azores late Thursday, and a hurricane watch is in effect for all of the islands there. Swells from Gabrielle will continue to affect Bermuda, the east coast of the U.S. from North Carolina northward, and Atlantic Canada as well. It's expected to bring dangerous surf and rip currents. In the central and western tropical Atlantic, a tropical wave about 1,000 miles east of the Lesser Antilles is showing signs of organization, with a tropical depression likely to form later this week. East of the Leeward Islands, another tropical wave is producing disorganized showers, thunderstorms, and gusty winds across the Windward and Leeward Islands. It's spreading heavy rain into Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands tonight and Wednesday. This second system is expected to slow and turn northwest near the Bahamas later this week, with a tropical depression possible. And get ready to cast your vote. After the break, we'll introduce you to an annual Alaska competition where you can get to cheer on some really chunky contenders. In the Northwest, we're already seeing trees swap their summer greens for bright reds, oranges, and yellows. King 5 meteorologist Rich Marriott in Seattle explains what's behind this fall transformation and when you'll catch those colors at their best.
Well, when you think of fall, you might think of pumpkin spice drinks, maybe sweaters, but also I think most people think about fall colors. And we have really good displays of fall colors in the Pacific Northwest, though most people think of places like New England and maybe the Rockies that have really big displays, but we have them as well. This is up in the Pacific Crest Trail, up in the Cascades, and you see some pretty good colors. And we have them on both sides of the Cascades, and some places can have really large displays and sometimes just pockets of them. But what causes the fall colors to occur? Well, the green of the leaves that we have through most of the years is because of the chlorophyll, and as we start to see decreasing daylight and cooling temperatures, that chlorophyll is not produced as much and it begins to break down. There's these other chemicals in the leaf that have more colors to them, and those finally take over and dominate the color of the leaf and give us the oranges and reds and yellows that we see in the fall. And also the weather controls partially when that happens and then how intense it actually becomes. So if you take a look at the amount of daylight, it decreases hardly at all in the month of June. In fact, we gain overall for the entire month. But as we head into July, you see we're up to about 50 minutes, almost an hour and a half for the month of August. And then we peak out around the equinox. We'll see almost 2 hours change in the daylight. The plants notice that and they start to decrease the production of the chlorophyll, and they also start to break it down more rapidly, and the net effect of both of those is to leave the other chemicals in there by themselves, and they produce all those colors. They're primarily in the reds and the yellows and the oranges from these other chemicals that are sitting in there. Now, for the brightness of the colors, what you need is warm days and cool nights. The warm days produce more of those colored chemicals, and then the cool nights keep those from moving out of the leaf, and so they gather in the leaf and gradually intensify and give us our fall colors. We're almost into the season as we head towards the middle part of September to the end of September. Really east of the Cascades and over the interior of the Pacific Northwest is where you really start to see those displays. Still just kind of spotty over on the west side of the Cascades out towards western Oregon and western Washington. As we head towards the middle part of October, it starts to spread over to the west side as we start to get past peak on the east side. And then finally, by the time we hit the end of October, we're going to be looking past peak just about everywhere. And with that, the season's pretty much over, though you may see some occasional pockets here and there where you'll still see a little bit of that color. But you have about a month to 6 weeks of color in the cities and up in the mountains, so you don't want to waste that and get out and take a look at all those beautiful shots.
And with fall comes the return of a fan favorite, Fat Bear Week. It's the online contest where you get to vote in what's essentially nature's fluffiest beauty pageant. Katmai National Park in Alaska puts it on each year to show how bears bulk up for the winter. Voting just opened this morning, and Bear 128, also known as Glazer, is coming in as the two-time champ, even scoring a first-round bye. We'll find out who claims the title a week from today. Well, that does it for us here on Weather Out West. I'm Savannah Welch. Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you can join us on our episode tomorrow for our next Weather Out West.